Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Smoking on That Gas podcast. I'm your host, John Gus. I'm joined today by a new friend, dear friend, Elizabeth Inpyn. Very nice to have you here. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Our paths crossed recently with a mutual friend who is very much into triathlons. And hey, JG, I think that I'd love to get you connected with my friend Liz. And we ended up having lunch and kind of floated the idea, hey, I do this podcast and you wanted to know a little bit more about it. And we had lunch, I want to say for like 3 hours, and we're like, that could have been a podcast.
Yeah.
So we were both really excited to do it. And then it was just a matter of transitioning down here to San Diego. Liz just moved down to the San Diego area as well. Thankfully, I'm connected with a buddy from college who has his own production company, Max Look Studio. So we're here recording in, I always want to say Encinitas.
There you go.
There we go. So welcome to the program, Liz. How are things going in your life?
Things are really going well. Moving to Southern California was a wise decision. It's something I hesitated on because change is a little bit intimidating to me.
Yeah.
But it has proven to be at this point in my life, a really wise, fun decision.
What motivated the move to come down here?
It was a good time. I can work from anywhere. I have a lot of friends down here. I am a beach. The beach is my happy place.
Mm-hmm.
And so why not?
Yeah, I get asked, how do you like it down here? I'm like, oh, I love it.
Yeah.
This is the place for me. I don't know why it took so long to get here. I'm thrilled to be here. And I've been here 2 months and I can't get to everything. And it's a wonderful, not even a problem now, it's just a wonderful opportunity. And we talk about where are you going, what are you doing? Trying to
we should admit to people, we both have lists
we do.
of the things that we want to do. And we trade back and forth. Have you been here? I just went there. Check out this bar. What about this speakeasy?
She recently said to me, she's like, hey, I'm type A. I've got it on my notepad on my MacBook. And I'm like, I've got it on my notepad on my phone. So yeah, I think we're similarly wired in that. But I want to start out, how do you go about working for yourself, cultivating, curating the lifestyle that you have now? Because I know that's not easy.
No, I fought it every step of the way.
Okay.
A former life, I was a teacher and a professor, and I loved the schedule, the reliability, the consistent paycheck.
Of course.
Knowing exactly how my life was going to go. And I think, I wouldn't admit it to him directly, but I have a little bit of my dad in me and the entrepreneur. It's genetic that I want to build something and create something that I can steer in any direction and help the people that I want and do the things that I want and not feel kind of confined to the parameters. And so through the encouragement of some very good friends that, said, why not?
Yeah.
Do it. What's the worst that can happen? Which for someone like me that I could tell you the worst that could happen. Let me tell you about the worst. Yeah. That's not the way to get me to do something, So working through all of that and then just going, you know what? Really, what is the worst that could happen?
Right.
And then if it does, I've survived different things before. Why not?
Right. How long ago are we talking about when this transition starts?
It's almost been 10 years.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I think about that too, because that is something that when I'm considering change, it's always good, but I push against it. I don't like it. I'm uncomfortable about it. And then I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
Why? And then, I think the thing that's really helped me is you just nailed it. Why not? Why not? Why not me? If someone else is doing it, why can't I do it?
Does it get easier the more you do it, do you find?
In a way, but it's still terrifying. Okay. I think I'm considering a new opportunity, and as exciting as it's been, I went to that place of terror, and I think I got to the pros and the cons, and it was the worst case scenario. And then I was looking at the best case scenario. And for lack of a better term, I was like, the best case scenario shits all over the possible worst case scenario. So I got to go for this. And then it comes back to the place of no matter what, I can't really lose. I'm going to learn something. I'm going to grow. I'm going to be uncomfortable. But if or when I pull this off, I could potentially change my life in a pretty incredible way. And then I know how to do it, and then I can help someone else, and then I can do it the next time faster and more efficiently, and then there's explosive growth opportunities. So that's how I do it. How do you do it? We'll just take turns interviewing each other.
Through a lot of, it takes a nudge from someone or something. I'm not going to make that leap on my own just because when it comes to business.
Sure.
Other areas of my life, done. Like I will happily go on an adventure, try this new thing out, it's I think financial stability, questioning, if you don't have a job, who are you? I mean, for years I would tell people, oh, I just do some nutrition on the side, or it was always it was never, I started my own business and I'm successful, so I would downplay what I was doing because I thought it wasn't as worthy or admirable or, worth someone's time. And as opposed to saying, oh, well, I was a teacher, a professor, I did this. And, so I think that area is really hard for me to step into, but anything else, I'm game.
I think that's interesting because that makes me think about the, why is it that we feel the need to like turn our star down when the brighter we turn our light up, the greater effect that is going to have, or like what that says about us from a place of ego, good or bad, of I'm not that, that's not me yet, So it's just that like, or that to downplay it, that I'm just, or like, I'm just doing this little podcast on the side. And it's like, why am I going to diminish this own thing that like could, for all I know, be explosive at some point in the future or help people, who knows? But why am I like, it's like, no, I'm putting like so much into this. Why am I feeling shame about it? One of our favorite words.
Oh, shame. Brene Brown. I think I've learned, and this doesn't much count for you, but women have a tendency to downplay our accomplishments.
Sure. Yeah.
Or think that the thing, even if we're doing the exact same thing as men, we don't see it as worthwhile or admirable, and we are less likely to like take ownership and brag about our accomplishments and make those bold steps.
That's interesting.
And like wait, instead of do it for ourselves, wait for others to acknowledge what we're doing is good or worthwhile or powerful.
So getting the external validation.
Yes, first.
Interesting. Now, has there been a time where that changed for you, where it did get easier to do, or you just had to turn the volume down on it, just go for it?
I'll let you know if it gets easier. Waiting for that day to come. I think sport is an area, because I have done it my entire life, that it's very comfortable and I can be confident and interpersonal relationships, friendships, that kind of thing. But everything else is intimidating.
Of course.
Sometimes.
Of course. So you walk away from a career as teaching. Did you do that immediately, or was that like a slow, gradual process?
I moved to San Francisco.
Okay.
And could not afford to live on a teacher's salary.
Sure. Yeah.
So I got a tech job.
Okay.
To like fill in the gap. So teaching ended, and then I still did some volunteer. Like I will always have one foot in the door in teaching.
Yeah.
I'll probably get back there at some point in time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was strictly financial, pay the bills, live in a city that I wanted to. And education has changed. It's a really.
I have multiple family members that are teachers, and the last couple of years have been especially challenging. Yeah.
I don't envy the current climate in education.
They're the real heroes. I think about what I do on a day-to-day basis, and I'm just like, I heard something interesting. I think Charles Barkley said it. He's like, there's only like 5 real jobs in the world. There's teachers, cops, firefighters, nurses, and doctors. The rest of us are just, we got it pretty easy. So the days that I don't feel like working, I try to think about that like, dude, life is easy. Just like chill out. Like, no one's life is on your watch today,
So true. So true.
Okay, so we're in the tech world, and then how do you start, mixing in some of the other stuff?
Through sports. So I was doing triathlon at the time, and my background in the sciences and nutrition different athletes would ask different questions. Oh, do you know about this? Do you understand that? How does this work? And I found myself repeating enough, like, well, sorry, Mom, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
That's not quite right. That's not true. That your body doesn't work that way. Food doesn't work that, and I got enough, I guess that's how you get me to do something. You really put out misinformation to a point, and then I just can't take it anymore.
Sure.
And then it's like, someone hand me a mic, someone give me a platform, because I have to correct this.
Yeah.
And it's not just nutrition, it's anything. I mean,
I think nutrition's a great lane, because I think about like all of the things. I remember my friend and I joke about this all the time. Like, we were in high school, and, before a big game, like, you want a big bowl of spaghetti, and like, it was all carbs. And I was like, no, we don't eat carbs. And it's like, I don't even I can eat kale and I can eat chicken. Like, I'm just gonna eat that because that's all.
But like, not almonds. In the morning. You got to fast for a certain number of hours. And then, there's a lot of rules.
Don't even get me started on the coffee. Like, I know I drink too much coffee, but like, I can't be disciplined all the time, so.
I'm not, you can ask any of my athletes. I don't take away alcohol or caffeine. That's your business. You have to, you're an adult.
Great.
You have to manage it.
I think that's great. Okay.
On your own. I will guide you on other things, but I like both of those things, and it's your business.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's fair. Okay. Yeah. We're getting a little sidetracked.
So yes. So enough people came and asked and said, you should really do, again, there's the nudge.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have ever jumped on my own.
Yeah.
It took a group of people saying, you could do this.
Yeah.
I would, and I thought, you would pay me to do this? Really?
Yeah.
And then this is a valuable skill. And then it was, I guess I better get a website, and I guess I better figure out, and then the type A in me is like, I get to make a business plan. Oh, great.
That's so funny, because
line these things up.
I think most of our guests are the opposite. They're like, I don't want to do this. And I think it's the business part that's intimidating to them, of the like, I want to do this, but like, I'm intimidating about this, or I got to get a business license or a CPA and all the other things. And I think the totality of it can be really overwhelming. So it's interesting to hear, like, that was the part that you were like excited about.
Oh yeah. I bought but then executing it was a different story. I mean, I had a whiteboard. I went to Office Depot, got a whiteboard, sticky notes. I had a file system. It was the first time in my life my email was organized. It was great, but I am not good at the admin side of things.
Ooh, I relate.
So billing athletes and following up on things, and, all the little components really fell through the cracks. I was like, I'm the doer side. I need someone in the back that's.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that can be the challenging, especially when you're creating something that's like your baby, essentially. How like letting go of a part or delegating feels. So it can feel like, I know when I started delegating, I felt like I was cheating. It's like, but I can still get compensated almost as much, and I'm not doing as much work. Like, I feel, it's like some of that training that we've got from the past of like, stay here.
Yes.
Be small. Don't get out of line.
Yeah.
Do your job. Don't burden other people.
Yeah. Don't ask. Don't ask. Don't rely on someone else. They've offered multiple times, but don't take them up on it.
Oh yeah. Like, I will help you and I have no problem about it. I'm not going to ask for your help.
No. I'm drowning. I'm still not going to ask.
Yeah, no.
I'm good. Got it over here. Totally fine.
Yeah. I think we've chatted about, we did a check-in before like the show started, and it's like, how's it going? I'm like, well, I'm doing a lot less people pleasing these days. That feels good. So I know that you're doing some recovering people pleasing yourself, which is.
I am the queen of people pleasing. And I read or saw a video, I don't know. All of my friends even know enough that I'm a people pleaser that they send me things like, here you go, Elizabeth. Don't. So someone said, a good friend of mine, Katie, sent me one, and it was, you are giving up the life. By pleasing people and putting their needs first, you're giving up the life that you could have, the life that you want, and the life that you deserve. And I just went, I guess I am.
It's hard because the fact of the matter is living the best possible life that you can is like what's good for the universe, I would say.
Right.
But it feels selfish. Like saying no to things I don't want to do is hard.
Yeah.
Like I found you were asking me like, how's your practice going? I'm like, we're 20 days into June. I've already done 21 classes. Like I've had to spend extra time on my mat to emotionally process, like saying no more. It's like, this feels weird. I need to go like help transition this new behavior in like a healthy way that serves.
Do you find some sense of self-worth in helping other people? Is that why it's so hard?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think it's just always growing up in like performance culture from like playing sports, being the oldest. We've talked about this, like what it was like to grow up with a pretty strict background. So, and then even getting out of college and getting into, a sales career of the like, nobody cares, shut up, make your numbers, do more. You pulled off something impossible. That's where you're going to start next year. And you're just like, your feelings don't matter ever. So spending, 37 out of the 38 and a half years I've been here, or my feelings didn't matter. It's been an adjustment. And like, we talked about this too, as guys, like we're allowed to be happy, playful, joyful, angry, assholes. We can't be sad. We can't be weak. We can't be overwhelmed.
Nope.
We can't show those sides. So like, that's been a transition. And that's another like big reason why, behind my why of the like, we got to like, I think guys are doing a lot better in the mental health space, getting therapy, talking about it. But being able to call somebody because I want to cry, like that's weird. It still feels weird. Yeah.
And what a loss. If I cannot imagine not having my circle of girlfriends and some guy friends to be able to do that. And to think like, how have you and all the other men survived this long without having someone to call and be really vulnerable and raw in front of?
It's really hard. It's really hard. In fact, I think that I've tried to take a lot of ownership for it. It's still really hard. So I can't even imagine for male counterparts that even gone down that path, how hard it can be. And the other thing too, I think is you can feel burdensome in the way of, well, I just called that friend about this thing 3 days ago.
Yep.
It's still bothering me. I don't want to put them out. So I'm just going to like sit with it again and just like detach or we go in other directions where we for me, it was always throwing my energy into my career, my hobbies. If that could look good, I wouldn't have to show this part that didn't look so great. So, yeah.
So with my female friends, if I were to call them with, I need this, they will check back in. Do male?
No. 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 I don't, not really. And sometimes it's surfacey. And I've even noticed that the times where I had a friend who lost his father recently. And when it happened, we talked about it. And the couple of times that I've checked in, I haven't heard back from him. And it's just like letting people have their space and everybody works through stuff differently. But so I think some do, but not as consistent. I went through probably the worst time of my life in 2020, and I definitely learned the emotional range of where various friends are at. And that's not a criticism. It's just, okay, this one can handle it. This one felt very uncomfortable. So we'll just talk about other stuff.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other part too, is a lot of people aren't given or taught those skills of how to hold space for other people's pain or sadness or fear. So of course they don't know how to respond or how to contribute or how to best support you. And they don't know how to ask. This is something I've learned that's really valuable. If you see your friends or the people that you love struggling, ask them, how can I support you? What do you need from me right now in this moment? And they will tell you. And that's, it takes vulnerability on their part to ask for it. But that I found is a really good way, if you don't know how to help, to speak out.
Yeah.
Did that make you uncomfortable?
Only because that's something that like I've been thinking more about is people asking that, and then I don't know how to take them up on that offer. Or I do, but it's going to be even more vulnerable because now I have to like really share something that the 1% of the people in my life get to see, and I could feel judged and pushed away. And so it's like coming back to like what you just said about fear. Like I hate admitting anything I'm afraid of, but it's like with shame, if you shine a light on it, it's not as scary. It's not as guilt-ridden, shame-filled or whatever. So,
and fear, nothing good. Like if you try to make a decision out of fear, it is never going to be the right decision. Fear will never lead you down the path that you want to go. And so anything that you can do to make a decision, like something might scare you, but if it excites you, that's okay to do. But deciding on, should I take this job or not? Well, I'm afraid I might not be able to pay rent, or I might not do this, or this might not work out. Should I do? And if decisions are coming from that place of fear, you're never going to get where you want to go, or, I mean, it might work out 2 times out of 10, but fear, I mean, fear is a liar. Well, how many times have we heard that in church?
Oh yeah. Fear is a liar. Yeah.
So it's true. I mean, if you think,
Yeah.
spin it any way you want, it's pretty accurate.
Okay. I agree with that. How do you get to the place of recognizing, hey, I'm in fear. This is not how I should be making a decision. What does that process look like in being able to like identify it and then move away from it?
Oh gosh. Well,
Or are there people in your life that you can like talk it through and be like, hey, I know I'm a crazy person for feeling this way, but here it is.
first response is always, I will like run it out.
Ooh,
that
fantastic.
is my, like,
Okay.
you get on the mat.
Yeah, yoga it out, for sure.
My shoes go on, headphones in.
Love
Like
it.
I have very specific playlists,
Fantastic.
Labeled correctly for fear. You're crazy. You need to,
No way. Really?
Oh gosh.
Oh, I love this tip. This is fantastic.
Oh yeah. They're my go-tos. If
Wow.
I am,
Because you hear about people like, I'm going to put on relaxing music. I'm going to put on chill music. I love this.
No,
I love
it's
this.
it's an emotional list.
That's such a good idea.
I have a loneliness. Last week for me was a lonely, hard week.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing was on repeat. Like, so running shoes on, music in, clear my head.
Wow.
And then I will pray about it.
Mm-hmm.
I will talk to someone about it. I will journal. That's really valuable.
Yeah.
So in any way, shape, or form, getting thoughts down on paper, because then you can rereading them out loud, speaking them. It's entirely different. You will go, did I just write that? Is that how I really feel? Is that it's almost like carrying a conversation on with that part of your subconscious that you don't always give a voice to. So you write it down, you speak it back. And then worst case scenario, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. No, I think I like the idea. So the journaling, when you're doing that, is it just free form? You're just like letting it flow, or are you being intentional with it? Because I've done both, but I haven't actually thought about doing like reading it back, probably because I'm just like, I know what I just wrote down is so ridiculous. If I had to verbalize it, then I'd feel even more like, what am I doing?
Which they're your thoughts. This is...
And our thoughts are not us. That's the other crazy thing, but we let them run rampant all day long. Exactly. And then it's like, wonder why we struggle.
Exactly. I think, so I will always start with some kind of thought, a quote, a poem, like something that's on my mind, or something that resonates with what I'm going through. And then I will just start writing as if I was talking to myself.
Ooh, okay.
Like, I feel, sometimes it's third person. Sometimes that helps. Elizabeth, you are completely off the rails right now.
Okay.
Get back in with it.
I think that's good. I think that's healthy. I think being able to let yourself be a human is very healing and very helpful. That's not something I've allowed myself. And you probably in a performance culture experience the same.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's for everyone else. So we're different.
Here's the skill. So in sport, we visualize, right?
Right.
I mean, I knew, NC2A finals, like exactly how many strokes I was taking, exactly what the start was. Swimming and water polo. Exactly how many, how I was going to approach the blocks, the song that was playing in my head, every detail of that race it went through. And so if you can take that visualization from sport into visualizing exactly how this decision is going to be made, exactly how this problem is going to be solved, you have that valuable skill. You've been doing it for years. We just leave it in a certain box and don't put it over in the others.
I agree with that. And I'm thinking into my own life. When I allow myself to visualize the best case scenario, that feels so good, but I hardly allow myself to ever do that. But the worst case, the chances of them both happening are probably around the same in some capacity. But we'll give so much weight to like the bad thing, the worst case scenario happening, and the best case, like I'm not that lucky.
This is where my eternal optimism comes in. Anyone that knows me will tell you there is always a silver lining in some cloud.
I like that.
I give credit to my mom. I think that it is how that woman raised me, and her heart and her attitude. But yeah, there is always hope for something. It is always going to get better. And not in like a cheesy way, like, oh, you're going to get through this. But in I genuinely believe that there is better, that there will be joy somewhere, that something will work out, that you will meet the person that you're supposed to meet. You will get the job that you're supposed to get. There's, even out of all these bad things, something good will come of it. And I have the evidence in my life to prove it. I think most of us do if we actually looked at it.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to be in, because that is some of the stuff that I'm trying to like lean into more. Like one of my favorite affirmations right now is like, it is impossible for me to miss what's meant for me.
Oh,
so like that helps out so much, because it's like, even if I screw up, fail, fall short, whatever that looks like, however I want to identify it, it's still impossible. Like, and we're both people of faith. So it's like, we serve a loving God who's like, even if we fall short, there is a path where that can get worked out.
Yeah.
And we don't have to be fully responsible for it. So that helps, because my therapist will be like, you're a person of faith, right? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, why do you live your life like God doesn't exist? I'm like, I don't know, but I do.
That was one of my favorite things from your lunch. I've
so
repeated that multiple times. Like, oh, do I really not believe what I say I believe?
I know, it's crazy.
Technically, it's taken care of.
Yeah. Right. Like, and if I live my life in a way where like I could truly be worry free, or the thing that I'm worried about will get worked out, like you just said, in a good way, a better way. Like, I think about everything that came into my life that like crashed down. It's like, okay, that happened, but like, I probably don't meet you. I probably don't do this podcast. I probably don't reconnect with Sean. All these things that like, all this awesome stuff that's come into my life. And it's like, just trust the damn plan. Just shut up and trust the damn plan. Like, have more joy in your life. Smile a little more. Like, you live in paradise. Don't have any real problems. Like, life's pretty great.
Yeah, it's really, at the end of the day, we don't have, even with everything that's going on in our world that really is a problem.
Yeah, it is.
That's terrifying, horrifying, upsetting, infuriating, because there are all of those things.
Yeah.
But we still also exist in a world where there is good and love, and excitement and adventure and joy. And you have to be able to appreciate all of those things. Otherwise, you're never going to actually solve any of those other awful things.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that's well said. And it's energetically, it can go either way.
Yeah.
And I know it's so like cheesy to be like, we get to decide how today goes. And like, that's the reality, especially like when I'm like really in my feelings and I don't want to hear any of that stuff. And someone will be like, oh, well, like, so this. And I'm like, oh, I know, but I just want to be mad today.
Okay. Who's your person that you can call and say, I don't need you to solve. I don't need you to tell me it's going to get better. I just need you to let me, like, do you have that person? I need you to let me vent.
Yeah. It's like my dad and my friend Nick. Yeah.
So that role that someone fulfills is so valuable.
Who is it for you?
I would say my friend Nicole.
Okay.
And mostly because she can vent, like she has created an art form out of venting. And I think I so admire her she would call it her inner bitch, but I could just call it like her inner strength. Okay. Because I don't have that a lot of the time.
Ultimate optimist right there.
Yeah. Totally. She's not mean. She's strong. Yeah. She's powerful. I even use the light voice when I talk about her. She does it so masterfully, and she has brought out such a positive, it's okay to just say, because I don't want to be upset around people. Right. I don't want people to think I'm angry or hurt or scared or lonely or whatever. And she is very quick to say, just say it. Yeah. Tell me what it is you're thinking. This is okay. And so now it's like, the text will be like venting, and then in true female fashion, 77 paragraphs later. Yeah, this is great. Tip for the ladies out there, don't send your guys really, really long text messages. Break them up. Okay. Well, we'll have a conversation. We'll come back to that. Send them long text messages.
Okay. But better than not communicating.
Okay,
Yeah.
true.
Like I've told partners in the past, I'm like, if you don't want to talk about this, send me a text message, write me an email, write me a letter. I can't read your mind. Okay.
Yes,
so
that's true.
I think we're in agreement, in alignment.
Yes.
But I do want to go back to failure real quick because I was just thinking about something. As much as we fear it, I can think of like what I would consider like my like greatest failures that are like non-trauma related.
Okay.
Even the ones that are trauma related. Like if a friend brought up like, hey, remember that one time you had this like really terrible idea and you went down in flames? We laugh about it.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of like the ups. Like what are we so afraid of failing when it's like we're either gonna like have incredible success and change our lives, or we'll have like a really great story.
Because in failure, this is what it goes through my head. Okay. I will be letting someone down. Someone will be disappointed. Something will not have gone the way it was supposed to go. And that's where I get lost with failure. I didn't do what I thought I could do or what my potential was or whatever. When it's exactly like you said, it goes down in flames. You learn from it. You have a great story about it.
Yeah.
It steers your life in a totally different direction. You know, the one job I have been fired from, had I not been fired from that, I wouldn't have started my nutrition business. I wouldn't have got down this path, right? And I loved the job at the time, loved the people I worked with. So glad that it didn't work out.
Incredible. Yeah. I think about that. I think about the things that didn't work out or derailed or whatever you want to call it. In hindsight, being fortunate for the path that it led on, but also like, thank God that I got saved from whatever terrible nightmare thing that was potentially coming my way.
Yeah. How much of that is faith intervention versus our doing versus just life happening the way life happens?
Well, I think that like faith in a perfect place is just being able to see that like everything happens exactly the way that it's supposed to happen, which is like, you know, I have people, the mutual friend that connected us does not believe everything happens for a reason.
No, he does not.
And that's fine. I do. And whatever that says about me, whatever that says about them, zero judgment. There's no right or wrong. But yeah, like I think, and that helps me be in the place of peace of like, so the other thing I'm trying to think more of is like whatever shows up into my life, good or bad. I think those are labels. And Todd and I kind of talked about that. But also when that shitty thing happens, I try to like pause. I'll have my feelings about it, but pause and be like, for some reason I needed this today. And that helps a lot too.
That's a great take on it.
Yeah. And like, and you and I were talking about this before the podcast, or we started recording, is I am experiencing a lot of peace by not chasing anything in my life anymore. And that helps a lot. Like I'll put in my effort, but I'm not going to do it for everybody all the time. And this can only happen if I carry this on my back and will it and grip myself to the, like, I know there's a lot of fans of this podcast that like love people like David Goggins and Gary Vaynerchuk that are just like work 24 hours a day and F everyone. And so it's like, that's not my energy.
Yeah.
And not to say that that's not a way that some people can go to choose. That's not me.
Yeah. That would kill me.
Yeah. Same.
And
I love burning myself out.
I will burn myself to the ground.
That's right. I don't need any sleep. Yeah. I'll sleep when I'm dead. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
It's like I actually need a lot of rest. But.
Yeah. Let me tell you, nutritionally speaking, for your health, long term, you really do.
Everything falls short without the proper rest. But I mean, we all know that.
And to take that further, everything falls short without proper health. Right? Like that's the one thing that can bring anyone to their knees, and why it's so important that not only are we taking care of our physical health, but that we're taking care of our mental and emotional health.
Totally.
And having conversations like these and trying to learn and understand where we're coming from, what's holding us back, what's making us happy and sad. And it's like, this is how you become a healthy, whole, thriving human being.
And I don't think that happens when you are putting the needs and priorities of everyone else first and saying, it's all connected.
Stop telling me the right decision and the right way to go here, man. I'm going to fight being a people pleaser to my dying breath.
I don't support that. I support you in a lot of ways.
I know.
I don't support that.
I'm trying. I'm trying.
But I'm going to also let you have your human experience. So We only change until behavior no longer serves.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I can very specifically, I just pretty recently, as in like days ago, spoke up for myself and had a conversation that, I mean, I had to write it out first because I just had too much anxiety around it. And
Sure.
was like, I'm going to miss something and this and that. And once I actually like got it out and had the I thought, oh my gosh, why did I worry about this? This is so much better. This is, so I am working on speaking up for myself and setting boundaries and stopping the people pleasing.
Well, I say it over here like I'm like some expert.
process.
I'm not. Like I'm working very much in a work in progress. So much so that recently my therapist was like, told me two things. He's like, you need to start saying no when things aren't going to work for you at the time that they're not going to work for you. Because I like, again, you say something that upsets me, that's going to make you feel a certain way. So I'll just eat it and I'll feel worse. And then it gets like, I'll blow up about it like 3 weeks later. And the person will be like, when did you feel this way? 3 weeks ago? Like, why did you say anything? I'm like, because I wanted to protect your feelings. And I'm not responsible for other people's feelings.
No.
And so, yeah.
We're hardly responsible enough to handle our own feelings. We sure as heck aren't responsible enough to handle other people's feelings. You kidding me?
Yeah. I think that's been the hardest thing for me, like in like transitioning and like the dating dynamics is like, that is like a huge trigger for me. Is like when it feels like I'm managing emotions for both people, like I got to go, which is not great, but I'm a work in progress.
As another thing that came up in our discussion, dating in 2022.
The episode before this is a dating coach.
Yeah.
And that's why I had her. Yeah. It's a thing. It's challenging. It's quite the adjustment. I think the other thing too is like having learned so much about myself, having done a lot of the deep work that I did, is learning more about. Sean and I have talked about this too when we had lunch a couple weeks ago. But yeah, it's like finding the right person, and then they're the right person who's not ready for the right person. Mm-hmm. And so then it's like, then you gotta, and I come back to the, like, it gets to the point where it's like, you just want to give up, but then you're like, well, I gotta do my part. And then it's like, well, God will bring me someone. And God's like, yeah, but you're not doing your part, so there's like so much that goes into it. And then it's a lot. It's a lot.
And I think too, the older we get, the harder it is also. 25-year-old Elizabeth had a whole different attitude about dating. I'm just telling you, like, life was a lot more fun, carefree.
I was a terror back then.
Maybe wasn't making the wisest decisions.
But yeah, I'm appreciative of that part of my story for sure.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I wouldn't trade it for the world. And it's a like running family joke of the different people I've dated over my life. And we're all like, oh God, what was she thinking with that one?
Yeah.
There was that one.
Same.
Oh, Elizabeth,
you do that thing. And like, oh, I know I do that thing. I'm trying not to do that thing.
Which I think is funny. You and I are both so close with our families that they're almost intimately involved. Like they've been a part of our lives and dating and like they know us so well.
Right.
One of my good friends, Michelle, we were just the other day talking about relationships, and she's found her person, but there were a lot of not people before that.
Okay, good.
And I was joking about it, and I said, "What did Donna?" That's her mom. And I'm like, "Oh, Donna had to have hated that guy," and she said, "Why would my mom know anything about that?" And I thought, what? You don't call your mom after dates? You don't tell her what's going on? She doesn't know? And she said, oh no, she does. She said, I brought like 2 men home in the entire time that I've been dating. Mm-hmm. She's 35, 36. Mm-hmm. So I think we've had the privilege or consequence of having people involved in our dating lives for 20 years.
Yeah.
Opinions.
Yeah.
It's like a jury decision if someone stays or goes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you brought that up because something came across my radar recently, and it says it's like choose the person that you want, not your friends, not your parents, blah, 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 blah. So that's been something that's like, I'm really trying to allow myself to spend time with people that I'm like, I genuinely feel like this person adds to my life. And this is my conscientious decision, not what everyone else thinks. And that feels uncomfortable.
I have finally made the decision that no one else's opinion matters when it comes to whom I choose to date. And it is the best feeling in the world. The best feeling. It's
I'm going to lean into that.
Empowering and freeing. And I'm going to tell you, you might pick an entirely different person than you had been picking before.
Yeah, that resonates.
And it's
I had a conversation with a friend about this earlier today, and because he's experiencing something similar, and we both just said, hey, like detaching from what we think, and because he's went out with somebody that he's like, this is not somebody typical, but like there's something that I can't describe that's different. I'm like, I think that's the right path. I think you should just continue to sit with that.
And that could apply, anyone listening, that's a career path, a travel decision, a moving decision. Take out the other people's opinions and expectations and what lane you think you have to drive in. Go in a different one.
Yeah, I think that's great, because I think about the decisions that we make based off of what we really want to do versus the expectation and the what if and the if I did this, what would people think?
It's a miserable way to live.
It is. And I think about just like how, So last May I had a health scare, and it was something that was in and out of my body before I even knew it was even there. And I was like, I heard God, the universe being like, go live your life, but not go live your life, go live your effing life. Right. Like really intentional. So like when I get to these places, I'm like, oh, well, this or that. It's like, so my life looks vastly different in a lot of different ways. And I'm doing things that like may have been not seen as something I would typically do, or even some of the like people, everybody likes to tell me to slow down.
Oh, thank you.
And it's like, and I think to a certain degree, there's some value in that, but it's like, what if you knew you were going to die 3 years from now? How would you live your life?
Yeah. Most people would be living it entirely differently. And there's a practical element to that, too. Of course,
yeah. I'm not saying rob banks and stuff, yeah.
As fun as that would be.
That'd be so fun.
I remember Dane Cook had like in one of his comedy specials was talking about robbing a bank with like monkeys.
Yeah.
And like how that would be like how the ultimate bank heist and like, bank heist would be fun in theory.
Right.
If you knew you didn't have to serve jail time.
Anybody, yeah.
Right. Yeah. But for the most part, there's something to just releasing what you think that you're supposed to be and do and say and how you're supposed to act and where you're supposed to go. And I think too, it almost sounds like the opposite, but being less selfish and more self-full, if that makes sense. Like, what is going to not just be good for me, but my time on this planet? How can I contribute? What's going to be something meaningful? What kind of legacy do I want to leave? What kind of impact do I want to have on the people that I love? And using that to help you decide where to go and what to do and what's going to make you happy.
I think that's powerful because like I think about the way that I live my life. One of the things I do think about is I have 2 nieces and they're both 4, and they're just, everything is possible in their minds and in their worlds. And I want to be able to like look back on my life and, whatever they decide to pursue, be an example of why it can be done.
Yes.
Uncle Johnny did that, I would be the crazy person that did the crazy things. And, so I think about that a lot of just trying to, be a bright light in a dark world, like cultivating the things that bring us joy. I mean, I think happiness is fleeting. I don't know if we're like, what is it? The pursuit of happiness. What are the 3 things? Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness.
Oh, yeah.
I wish it was life, liberty, and like the pursuit of like satisfaction. I think that brings more depth and an overall lasting feeling, because happiness can come and go. Like,
sure,
I'm gonna slam that coffee. I feel pretty happy for a while. It's not going to bring me satisfying joy, but if like that coffee propels me into an activity that I really like and making a memory, like that's satisfying.
Sure.
when you're, training and you're putting some of your athletes through training, there's not a lot of happiness that goes into that.
No, it is that happiness comes on race day.
Yeah, of course.
Or when their health scare goes away, or when they reach their goal of whatever it is that they set. Yeah, it's not the mundane, hard, dirty, challenging part is not the reason that you're doing it all. It comes later.
Yeah.
But you have to be able to sit in that and find contentment in exactly what it is that you're doing. It's cheesy, but that comfort in the uncomfortable. Get comfortable being uncomfortable mentality.
Oh, yeah.
And sitting in that, finding satisfaction and contentment in everything that you're doing. And if you're not content, figure out why. What needs to change? Because there will be happy moments. There's going to be sad moments, angry moments, fearful moments. But peace. Again, peace that passes understanding. Peace that at the end of the day is how your heart and your mind and your soul settle. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's like definitely, a couple weeks ago, I had to basically take a pause on my life because I was just running at a pretty unsustainable pace. Like I didn't need to slow down, but I knew that. I did it not because everyone else told me, but I did know that. And, it was on the back of like some really challenging situations. And that was like, I think that like, this is tell me how you feel about this, but like, I had a very frustrating conversation with my mom about something that like I had been praying about. And I was just like, I'm sick of this. Like, God, where are you? God, you need to do your part. My mom's like, you can't talk to God that way. And I said, I can talk to my earthly father this way. My dad would have no problem if I called him and used a lot of colorful language.
Yeah.
So it's like, why can't I talk to my heavenly father that way? And my mom was like, you actually have a pretty good point. So like, it's funny because I think that like, when things are going well, it's like so easy to pray and be like, thank you, God, and and rainbows and butterflies and everything's great. And then like you're struggling and you just want to be like, just have these like really like profound, oh, Heavenly Father, blah, 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 blah. And we have to like feel so poetic about it to like get to God. And then it's like when we get to the place where we're just like, F this, I hate that, I'm upset with this. And God's like, I created you. You don't think I know that you would really want to say this? And then things happen.
Yes.
And then you get that peace.
That's exactly it. I don't think, again, I don't want to put words in his mouth. I don't think God wants our fake, inauthentic prayer or pleas or cries. Yeah. And I mean, Jesus can be like, why have you forsaken me?
Yeah, I don't want to do this.
Why on earth could we not do that?
Right.
I mean, if anything, that is the model for exactly how we should be crying out.
Yeah.
And be angry, be scared, be frustrated, call God out on what we think he is or isn't doing.
Right.
It has to be that way.
Well, it's the authenticity. Like,
yeah.
I think we create that in our human relationships, but why would we have that any different for something like that? And that's something that I'm actively having to learn. And, there was, that is the God that I believe in now is not the same God that I was like taught to believe in growing up.
Same.
Yeah.
It has evolved.
Yeah.
And in a good way.
Totally good way. Yeah.
I don't know. Is that the nature of faith? Is it supposed to always
it's a relationship.
grow
So I think so. Yeah.
Look at us deep in our faith, our relationship with our Heavenly Father.
Yeah. But like, no, going back to like the peace that surpasses all understanding. Like I was so pissed during this like breakdown and I was like, okay, I accept everything that's coming my way. I'm going to do my part, but you promised this, it needs to show up. And almost immediately it showed up. And then a couple of things I started to worrying about kind of naturally drifted. And then this other opportunity I thought was dead showed back up. And it's like,
yeah,
I'm so glad I threw a temper tantrum that I know I didn't need to do, but I did it anyway.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think that that's like, it talks about like humbling yourself. And like, sometimes like we have to humble ourselves in our humanness to experience all of the emotions we were born to feel.
Yeah.
And that makes us more relatable as other human beings to, be more compassionate when other people are going through their stuff. And yeah, it's a journey for sure.
We weren't promised easy. We weren't promised comfortable.
Yeah.
We were promised fulfilling, deep,
right.
rich, meaningful, existence.
Yeah.
And with all of those things, there has to be the crappy parts and the lonely parts and the fearful parts. And
yeah. I think I am happy that I think that is something that's being talked about more in our society, of the like, for a while, like that toxic positivity was just like rampant. And like, I hate when I see like the good vibes only. It's like, fuck you.
oh gosh.
Like that ain't your boy. Like, I'll bring the good vibes a lot, but like, you're going to know when I'm in my feelings about something. And I think that's like, because sometimes it sucks and it's like, this sucks. What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
We're not just going to speak like, like,
No.
yeah, we can be optimistic about it. But we got to have a plan. We got to be realistic about how this can go and what we can do. And yeah.
I see one more like live, laugh, love wall hanging and I'm just out. Like and no one, like, good vibes only. Why would you even want that?
No, it's fake.
It's inauthentic.
Yeah, inauthentic.
Yeah.
It comes back to authenticity. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. So how do we help people get comfortable with being authentic? Stopping, I mean, we all live our life on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Stop putting up that what we think everyone wants to see in our life, only the good stuff, telling ourselves only the good stuff matters. How do we encourage people to be real and go through the hurt and do the work to what will eventually bring peace and contentment and love and faith?
I don't have the answer, but one thing I have thought about is, I think that, and this would never happen, but this is an idea that I've had. Like, if you want to post anything on Instagram, you cannot do that if you did not take a picture of yourself within 30 seconds of waking up. And that has to be shown first before you can put the highlight reel up.
I'm comfortable.
How much would we like that?
When I was 20, I woke up nice.
Yeah,
The older I get, that's not the case. Hold on.
I am not the most pleasant person. Yeah, like my morning routine consists of like not interacting with another human being for at least an hour. Yeah.
You don't wake up sunshiny and rainbows?
No, I wake up the opposite.
Oh.
I
would drive you crazy.
Yeah, I wake up. I like that energy, but it's like, I need to get my head right. I need to drink my coffee. I need to like put some, creative flow into my get buzzy listening to some music. If I wake up, one of my favorite things to do is if I wake up and there's like a song stuck in my head, it's like, that's the like Spotify like radio that I'm going to listen to today.
Yes.
And then it's like getting in that place. It doesn't take a full hour, but like at least 15 minutes before it's like, just, come to life and then interact with other people. But the times that I don't, it's like, then I wonder when I struggle those days. And then I have a wake of destruction of calls after call, like the next day to be like, hey, that thing yesterday. Okay, but I do want to share this story because you love this story. So this is like a month ago. It's like 10:30 at night. I don't get to bed early. Like, that's not my jam. So this night I was trying to. I just like laid down, put my phone down, and my phone rings. It's my mom. It's 10:30 at night, which is like an abnormal time for my mom to call. And I answer the phone and I was like, hey, what's up? And she's like, Married at First Sight is coming to San Diego. And I was like, you got it. Effing kidding me. I was like, I'm in bed right now. And I like didn't hang up on her, but I was like kind of like upset that like I'm finally trying to get to bed early. She's calling about this nonsense.
Yeah.
And then like the next day I had to call and apologize. And I don't know if I was in the wrong because I wanted to get that sleep early.
Yes,
you thought that was like the funniest thing.
I got, first of all, that your mom was so confident that you should join this show. She was like that invested, and that it was so important to her that she call you at 10 o'clock at night, right?
Yeah. I'm like, who died? Like,
right.
No, but you got to call this reality show.
That's the expectation. And it wasn't even that she was calling to say, tomorrow's the last day of auditions. Right. So you have to get there first thing in the morning. It was just, the epiphany struck. And so she was out. And per that discussion, I had no idea what that show was.
Right.
So I went and watched the entire...
Oh, did you really?
Oh, the entire last season. That is a horrible idea.
Okay. I'm glad you said that, because after I shared this with you, you're like, I mean, well, first of all, there's another thing. The thing about people knowing about your dating life, the fact that my mom knows enough to think that that's a good option for me, number one. She's like, but Johnny, they got 3 experts. I'm like, oh my God, here we go. And also knowing me that I'm like kind of a superficial a-hole, that like, I would be like, oh no, why am I going through with this?
Right.
I don't care what kind of repercussions on this contract that I signed. Your boy's
180
out.
degrees, back out.
So, with all of that said, then you're like, I don't know. Is it that terrible of an idea? Like
that was because
invalidated.
Optimist was maybe mom's onto something. Hey, why not try it?
You would start walking up the timeline like, so what are we really talking about here? Like, we're not even shooting until like 2023. You got 6 months to think about this. Not to say you couldn't continue to do the thing that's not working. Why wouldn't you try it? Like, oh my God, this is my life.
And I do still stand behind the why don't, try different things.
I agree.
First of all, I feel like I know you well enough now to know that having cameras in your life and documenting this would drive you crazy. Not in a good, it's pushing you to new limits way. This is the worst idea ever.
If I don't like something fun, like a fun show, like I do have this like
Amazing Race, you said.
Right? I would do that one. I would love to have a reality TV show with that me and my sister.
Okay.
Okay. We're characters.
But those are your terms.
Right. Yes.
Not
this biggest decision. Like my dad says, like whenever there's a big decision, it's like, it's not like you're buying real estate. That's what that's how he'll like calm the situation down. And like, that does not apply to like who you're going to marry and buying real estate.
No. And I have now, after watching a season, I'm going to call myself an expert.
Thank you. And the rest of America would agree.
Yeah.
We watched one reality TV show.
Sure. I've watched one season of one show. Even if it kind of does work out, because then I went and did some research on how many of you, because it's like 12 seasons.
It probably would.
There's
probably the best thing I ever did, but I'm not going to do
it. No. I will. Your mom might be driving you down, but I'm picking you up out the back door and bringing you back. Because sorry, Mom.
I would consider it. At this point in my life, I would consider it.
Is it just because I said not to do it?
No, I think I just
feel like you're.
No, I thought more about
back.
it. I think it's more just like the other day, like I would never go skydiving person.
Yeah.
And then like 3 different people in my life are expert skydivers have come into my life, and I'm like, yeah, I'd probably do it. I'd be scared to death. I'm probably never going to do it again.
Do it.
And one of my other friends, he is like, I want to say 100 hours away from being able to be a instructor pilot. He's like, I want you to be my first student. I'm like, I think I'm good on that, dude. Like, why don't you get a couple of students under your belt first? I'll fly with you. I don't want to be so then I'm like, but my uncle is a pilot, and like it's the coolest thing. So there's like these things in my life that I'm scaredless over that I wouldn't want to do, but I'm just kind of like 30 years from now, I'll be glad I did it.
Okay, but your requirement has to be that she is a woman of faith then.
Oh, I mean, yeah, obviously. Yeah,
but here, I learned on the show, they say that doesn't necessarily mean it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they align.
Yeah. You and I have talked about that. Yeah.
That's the component to why, if that didn't matter to you, I would say, heck, what do you have to lose?
I don't know if that's a show I'd go on then.
Well, I don't think eHarmony's putting out a reality show anytime soon.
No way.
So, and it probably wouldn't be the content anybody would watch, right?
No,
like, they held hands.
So boring.
This is a big deal. Like, there's no, what was the one? I don't watch it, but in The Bachelor, you hear him talk about it all the time. The something sweet.
Oh, the honeymoon suite.
Yeah, there's none of that.
I mean, how should I know?
Anyway.
Yeah.
Dating, your dating life.
It's fun.
Reality show. Pushing your limits, trying something you're afraid of.
Yeah, I think it's dating's going well. It's being able to move away from like the chasing thing. Like I'm not chasing anymore. Like because I'm not seeking. I think dating in the past has been like, I want to put my best foot forward. I want to show all my best stuff. So maybe they pick me. And I read something the other day that, and this author has come up before, and I'll bring her up again, but Melody Beattie, and she wrote Codependency No More, which is like a book that really helped me. And then she's got another book where it's like a daily devotional. It's like something for every day. And one recently was stop trying to show everybody why you're a good fit for them maybe it's time for other people to show you why they're a good fit for you. So I like really embrace that energy. And it's like really helped with dating. It's like, we'll go on a like great date, but it's like, I want a partnership. Like, I'm not going to like always be seeking you out and always be the initiator, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like change. It's like, I went out with somebody, like I went out with somebody a couple weeks ago that like in a lab is like what I would build, like perfect.
Excellent.
But then it's like, I'm not going to chase her though.
Oh, no.
But, you know, she's got her stuff going on in her life. We're both busy and it's like, that's cool. So, but I can also leave it in a place where I'm not like, meh, you know, it's like, okay, like I saw her like downtown, you know, Pacific Beach the other day. I was like, oh, how's it going? Blah, 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 you know?
Yeah.
Fine. I'm an adult.
And I think your point of instead of trying to like it's an audition to be their boyfriend, you're auditioning them to be your girlfriend or significant other, partner, or whatever you call our people at our age. I don't know. Girlfriend sounds weird.
Partners, like more common now. Yeah. Oh, like once you get past like 35, you cannot use the term like boyfriend, girlfriend. Weirdo.
Okay, partner. You're trying to see if she is a good fit for you, if she's going to be good in your life,
right?
And not because you think you're better or superior or anything, but
no. Like it's life is hard. Yeah. Like going, like I'm seeking out the person that like not the best stuff. It's like when the shit hits the fan, we got to figure this out. Do we trust each other enough to figure it out and not run? And still be each other's number one and root for each other and things like that. Yeah. So like going back to like the letting go of the expectations, that could look vastly different than what I would initially have pursued when I first got on the apps. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Oh, the apps that I refuse to go on or have anything to do with.
I mean, you know what? To be fair to the apps, it's been a great way to like that multiple people I've met on the apps have just become friends, and like that part's been like refreshing, actually. Yeah, yeah.
One of my closest friends to this day, Todd. Hi, Todd.
Hey, Todd.
Firefighter Todd, Captain Todd. We met on Match years ago. Mm-hmm. I mean, 14 years ago. And obviously not a romantic match, but great friends. Mm-hmm. Great friends. So good things can come out of it, for sure.
And another, like, I love getting like inspiration on like Instagram. It's like, be friends first. They might have a better friend for you.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
I went out with somebody and there was no romantic connection. And like in the very beginning, like we had like set a very clear boundary. Like if either of us is not feeling this, like let's just be honest about it.
Yeah.
And we got to that place and she was like, cool. Well, like if you have a friend that you think would be a good fit for me, like please keep me in mind. I'm like, of course I will. Like imagine ghosting. Our options are ghosting, but we could actually do that and not ghost people. Imagine. It's crazy.
On to something.
So, and like, I'm actively thinking of people that like, oh, could I set so-and-so up with? Yeah. Maybe Sean. Just kidding.
You can see the look on his face.
But yeah, I think, but it's like staying in that place of like openness and like not everything that doesn't work out has to turn into something shitty. Like it can actually be like, you know, I'm very much embracing like regardless of how something goes, like being in this place of like, I'm glad our paths crossed. You know, maybe it didn't go someplace like we thought it could have or whatever. I'm like, I'm glad our paths crossed.
Yeah, it's a much better way to live and date and make friends, especially the two of us. We don't, I mean, I have the luxury of knowing a good handful of people. We're new to town.
Yeah, brand new.
How are we going to meet people?
Yeah, brand new. Yeah.
So it's great to start making connections and learning where to go, checking things off our list.
Yeah, there's so much to do. Yeah. I want to go back to what you'd said about like the interviewing the partner thing. I think that also applies to like jobs and opportunities and even like interpersonal relationships. Like so many times when people like will go through like an interview process, like, oh, like I want them to like me. It's like, well, what if like it should be mutual, you know, or even like in friends stuff, it's like, it should be mutual. Like we shouldn't be like, one of my favorite mentors says that you cannot be in a place of service and be subservient. But like, I think it's so easy for us to like always like put ourselves like on these lower pedestals or put other people on the pedestal. And then we wonder why it doesn't work out or why we people please or get in these codependent relationships. Yeah. So trying to think about, valuable. It's crazy, right? Like I think about that in business. Like if I'm like always chasing the deal and chasing, and I'm just like getting railroaded, I'm being treated like a second-class citizen. you know, and then
Yeah.
it's like, I don't like, you get the deal and it's like, I don't want to work with this person. Like,
Do you think, I think it comes from desperation,
of course,
right?
one of the places. Yeah.
Whether it's desperate to find love, get a job so
Yeah.
you could pay bills or have that career, buy a house, make a new friend, that's like, we think we need this thing.
Yeah.
And so we're coming in subservient, desperate,
Yeah.
longing,
Right.
needing,
Yes.
instead of,
Yeah.
well, if this isn't going to, like, I'm looking at this as this is going to suit my life, not I need this in my life or it's not going to be complete or fulfilled or whatever.
Yeah. In addition to the fear radar that you spoke of, the anxiety radar, when that goes off, to me, this is not anything profound, but when that shows up, that's more of me looking at it of, I need to move away from this thing.
How does anxiety manifest in your life? Is it physical, mental?
Yeah, it's usually physical. I feel it like in my chest. Yeah, in my stomach. Start to feel like uneasy, or I start to feel, I'll feel uneasy, and then I will feel that whatever I'm doing from an action standpoint, I need to do more of.
Yes.
And I think the right reaction is, so Chris Rock tells this, he gives this advice to new stand-up comedians, and I think it serves so well. This is actually something that I think about often, is like when they get on stage and it's not going well, the reality that they experience is that they want to go faster or try to like get through their jokes faster. But he says, like, when you start bombing or it's not going well, slow down. So I try to think about, like, when I'm feeling anxious, I want to speed up. So it's like, I'll remember that note, slow down, slow down, slow down. So yeah, that's how I feel it. But I don't know what your relationship with anxiety is like.
I will feel it. I will become very uneasy. Like nothing feels settled. My nerves are on end. I can't focus. That's how I know to immediately, when, you know, I can't do work, I can't handle people, which are two things that usually come very easily. And
Sure.
I'm almost paralyzed with, I don't know what to do next. And then it just grows. And then, you know, then I'm not sleeping. I'm not eating. I'm not, I isolate myself from other people.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Which is really one of the worst things you can do. Because then all that you're really left with is your head. Or an entire season of Married at First Sight. Which doesn't make for valuable educational content.
That's a cycle that I engage in as well. And I think it's I feel like I'm drowning. I feel like I can't breathe. And then I like withdraw from people. And then it's like, well, why am I withdrawing? It's like, because I don't want them to see this part of me. And the reality is like, we think that these parts that we don't want the people to see, that we're the only ones feeling them. And yeah, so I think that's definitely something that like I have to like, when people do tell me to slow down, or where like recently my therapist said, like, try doing life at 60% for a while. I don't think he meant like, don't like go. I think it's just like, bring your focus down to a place where you can be at a place of calm and peace, and not like, because right here, right now, I can be right here, right now.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about what I have to do next. I don't even know what I'm doing next because I'm right here, right now.
Yep.
So it's that place where like slowing down in that regard, I think is great. And you and I were talking about this before we started recording, is if I looked at everything I have going on, because I shared some of the recent updates in my life, and you're like, seriously? I'm like, I know. But
we just talk about doing less.
Like a recovering addict of like busyness. Like, I know, but this time's gonna be different. You know, 2 hours of sleep. But it's like when I look at everything, like I'm totally hosed, but it's like just today, like I can do just today.
Yeah.
And like finding those places in my schedule where like, okay, like I've got this and I can place that there, and not like frantically. It's just like moving through it. And then I'm also noticing too that, and I think this is where I've had like a weird relationship with discipline, is, doing the things that you don't want to do, but you have to do them anyway. But then I also, one of the rules that I have with yoga is, and I think this is why it serves me so well, is on the days when I do not feel like doing it, I do not do it.
Really?
Yes.
Isn't that counterintuitive to the mood follows action mantra?
That's where the relationship with discipline struggles. But then also we'll also have days where there was a day last week where I didn't have much going on. And the thing I wanted to do most that day was go to yoga, and I went 3 times.
Oh.
So it's the leaning into, it's like giving my body that space, like, or like, even like when I make sales calls, it's like, I'll have a goal of doing like 7, but I'll get to like the 5th one, and then I'll start feeling burnt. In the past, I would have pushed to the 7th, and then each subsequent day gets harder to show up. But it's like giving myself that grace to like, no, you're feeling this way for a reason. Kind of hit your limit. Something's out of line here. Let's give yourself like some grace to come back to that place. So then the enthusiasm can come back, and then you want to do it. And so I'm just trying to listen a little bit more, because that's when I could probably need like a rest or reset from something, instead of the like, well, if you wanted this bad enough, you would do it right now, which is like, I, beat myself up with that thought over and over and over again. But yeah, I think the things in life, like when you talk about like pursuing health, I think that can be more easily done when, like you're being disciplined, and like, you're doing the workout that you don't really feel like doing, but you're not being this just like, excruciating, unreasonable taskmaster.
Yeah, that's.
Then I bet like in your client work, if they're adjusting to like a new nutrition plan or a new workout plan, or they're training for something and maybe they're not hitting it the way that they thought, it's not you suck, try harder, you're fired as a client. It's like, let's find. There's a different path.
It's never. I often, because people come in and they think, especially with nutrition, it's all or nothing.
Yeah,
and they will think that they're going to just turn their life around completely, dramatically, and change 75 things. And I always try to tell them, let's pick 3.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you weren't eating breakfast before you went to train? Let's add breakfast. Let's not worry about what that breakfast is. Let's not, that'll come.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just get you doing this. And let's just get you doing that. And instead of cutting out 75 things, can I just have you add some hemp seeds or maybe pumpkin seeds or eat fish? Make that barrier to entry manageable. And what's James Clear, Atomic Habits, will teach you, you stack. It's called habit stacking. So you have this one habit that, like if you're trying to get better about taking supplements and you never remember to take your whatever, it's like, oh, well, every morning I have coffee. Not that you should really take your supplements with coffee, but let's say, oh, I'm going to start taking my supplements with my morning coffee. And you stack that new habit on top of the existing one. And then you bring in another one and another one. And that's how you successfully transition and change your life. You don't fix it and change it all at once, because you might do it for a week. I mean, that's this New Year's resolutions, right? Mm-hmm. That's why they last 19 days or something like that. I think is the statistic. You can't fully change everything all at once. It's just not going to last.
Well, you said fix it, but I also think like fixating is also doesn't serve, because
obsessing.
I did that. Like I was so in college, my diet was like drinking and then like all the McDonald's menu, right?
Yeah. So, in and out. Yeah.
And it was, going back to like happiness versus joy. Like I had a lot of fun and had a lot of joy in my life. But yeah, like it left me in a place where like I was physically like out of shape, and I would like obsess over it. And in the last 2 years or so, like I'm down like 35 pounds. But it's not because I've done the opposite of fixating. And I'm not even really thinking about, like, I know I'm going to get to where I want to be physically, because it's like, I'm on a really like sustainable path that, just like you said, just being mindful of this adjustment, this slight thing, getting into yoga really helped me find something that I like doing physically, like being more mindful of what I put in my body, trying to make more conscientious decisions of like just the little stuff like that, but then it's also put me in a place where it's like, okay, like, now I've done the hard part. Like I can do something that's more enjoyable, like, not feeling like I have to obsess over it, and enjoy the treat.
Right.
Yeah.
Life's too short not to enjoy some of the really sweet moments, right? I mean,
I know. Yeah.
We talked about it. Shake Shack. There's a reason. There's room for that in our lives.
I think like for me, like my like peak like physical pinnacle dream is like having like 6-pack abs. And then I'm just also like, yeah, but I really like pizza, you know? So
as do most people, and it's,
but it's not everything. Like I like the way I look, like my clothes fit great. Like I feel healthy. Like I feel healthier than I ever have been. And it's like, whatever, like I'm fine just where I'm at.
Yeah, no one is writing he had 6-pack abs on your tombstone. No one.
I mean, they might,
unless you tell them to, right? And then that's a whole different issue. Like, why do you care? You're dead. They will, however, say he was fun. He did this.
Yeah.
He, your nieces might say like, he treated us to Shake Shack every Wednesday. Or, those are the kinds of things that matter at the end. And I say this as a, woman that has grown up in an era of like, be super thin.
Oh yeah.
Be this.
Sure.
Like, would be lying if I didn't say every like squat, deadlift, Bulgarian split, all of those. I was like, please, Lord, give me Kim Kardashian's butt. Just, I will work as hard as I possibly, Yeah. So like the vanity, I'm not trying to pretend that that's not like a thing.
Right.
Yeah. It's just, again, in the grand scheme of things, that's not getting us anywhere.
Right.
And I think a difference, like you said, between fixating and obsessing on something versus appreciating our bodies and our lives for what they are, and being comfortable about having them be the best that they can be at this point in time with the things that we're doing, with the, both of us have travel plans coming up. Like, I would love to run on the beaches in Hawaii if it happens, but I will be playing with my nieces and nephews. So it probably won't. And I don't care. Like, I'm not going to obsess about it on a vacation, and you're not going to obsess about it in Costa Rica. Like, we're living life. Yeah.
I like, that is the lie that I'll tell myself when I travel. Like, I'll do this, I'll do that. And then this is the first, I went to Chicago over the weekend, and I didn't pack my mat, and I ended up getting a class in because my friend's wife really wanted to get a class in for her birthday. And so it was like, but it happened because it was like fun and natural and organic. And like, I'm not going to obsess over those things like like I come back to like, you can't be disciplined all the time.
No. And I think sometimes the way that we define discipline, I think it takes, for those of us, you love yoga, I love running and biking, and it takes discipline to step back also.
Oh, it totally does. So it totally does. That's hard for me.
Equal value in being disciplined on both ends.
Yeah. Even on the days where I really want to do it, but I don't physically have it in me, it's hard not to do it.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy it so much.
Right. And it feels good. It you have goals. Like, I have goals athletically that we're like, well, if we take this day off, it sets me back. And so, it takes recovery. For endurance athletes, we always say like, recovery is the hardest part because we don't want to stop.
I imagine. Yeah. That is, I think, has been very challenging in a lot of areas of my life, of being in that place of like recovery.
Yeah.
Whether that's like from working out or enjoying yourself too much, or just resting, God forbid. Or we watch a whole season of a TV show and not judge ourselves.
Incorrect. Try again.
I know, right?
The funny thing is I put myself in that situation of like, well, this is what I would do. And, that's a horrible decision. And, this isn't, my life isn't, I should be a little more, look at them. Look at how much fun they're having. And, judging. Which
is funny because like, one of my favorites when people go, I don't judge. I'm like, that's literally all we do. Like, the survival of our species is based on judging scenarios to stay safe. Like, that's literally all we do. So you also don't lie,
I like the term evaluating.
Evaluating, that's fair. Yeah. No, and not in judging as many different terms, but I think that it's it serves.
I think you and I both, though, were pretty hard judging ourselves.
The worst, yeah.
So we're not just pointing the finger outward. We are very self-critical.
That is one of my favorite, like when I think about like the work that I've done, like one of my favorite breakthroughs is like how much like my self-talk has changed. Like rooting for myself, like that feels good.
Amazing.
That's helped out a lot. And then when I fail, or like the times where like your like friend encourages you to like feel the emotion, like I'll be like, okay, dude, like you're upset, like be upset. Like you're sad, be sad. Like you feel like, so it was Father's Day over the weekend. And like, I got really emotional yesterday or on Sunday because there was like a couple of things that like had come into my life. One of my friends whose dad really wasn't around, another friend who had lost his father, like feeling an incredible amount of like gratitude for having my own father. I was a little underrested. So like I felt like really weepy like during the day, and I didn't hide it. Like, you know, like I was like talking to my dad, and he's like, he was talking about how he went to a retirement party for one of his dear friends. And I just, you know, said, hey, you know, I just so thankful that you're around. And my dad's dad died when he was very young, so he didn't have it. And at the retirement party, they were like commenting about like how good my dad looked physically, because he had been, you know, taking ownership for his health. And then he threw out some joke that said something like, he's like, I may be around, but at least I'm around, you know? And like that broke the tension on you know, feeling some of the heaviness that I felt in the day. But yeah, just like not judging myself for feeling the emotions, or like, why am I going to feel bad about feeling sad or shedding some tears over my friend who posted an Instagram post of like, hey, my dad passed earlier this year. I take some time to sit with it. This is one of the activities we love doing. Here's my favorite memory. And this is going to be the memory that I share with my son moving forward. And it's like, that's fucking heavy. Like, of course, like I would feel what I had felt in that moment, in that space, instead of, you know, being like, yeah, your guys aren't allowed to cry. Like, guys aren't allowed to feel those feelings. So it's like being able to, and like, I'm like in an airport, like crying in the airport, like, and in the past I'd like try to hide it or put sunglasses on. I'm like, F it, like whatever. Like, I'm having a human experience right now, and I'm not going to like be in shame about it.
I love that you use that phrase, human experience.
Yeah.
It takes all of the negativity out and allows, I wish more people would use that, understand it, let themselves experience it.
Yeah.
We would all be so much better off.
Well, I think not only for that, but like that's really where I've been in relating to others, in understanding that everyone's doing the best they can. Mm-hmm. We're all trying to have a human experience, and it's hard. It's like, I love making the joke, like, it's hard being a human being sometimes, because it really is.
It is.
And like, it, like having that, like, you know, compassion, and then like you and I always come back to like love and acceptance. Like, we're put on this earth for like love and acceptance, and that's usually like the solution to a lot of the things in this world within our own lives, whether it's loving and accepting ourselves or other people. And but yeah, like allowing us to have that human experience, allowing others to have that human experience. And
imagine if you're in the airport and you actually allow yourself to cry, and a stranger puts their hand on your shoulder, doesn't say anything, that kind of connection. And then someone sitting over 2 rows sees 2 complete strangers in the most beautiful display of humanity, and picks up their phone and calls someone that they weren't. And do you know, like how different our world would be if we allowed ourselves to have these human experiences and emotions and share them with others, and give people the opportunity, the freedom to connect with other human beings.
Like that, like that's like what you said is like really powerful. Like one of like the most like powerful videos I've ever seen is this guy is like, it might be hard for me to talk, but he's blindfolded outside of like a store, and he's got like a sign that says like if you're depressed or you're struggling with something, like, come give me a hug. And like strangers like come up and hug him, and it's like, and he's like, hey, are you okay, man? Like, is everything all right? And just like that place of like acceptance, like, because that is like pain that like, I think we've all felt, but like you can, a broken arm you can see, but like the internal pain, like you can't. And then just like seeing other people like go through that during a time that I've gone through it, like it still like makes me emotional, because it's like, like that's real. Like that's like, regardless of how you feel about anything that's going on in the world, like that is what we were put here as humans to like be for other humans. So yeah. Well, Liz, I don't know if we can end on a better note than that. Before we conclude, I do want to shout out Matt Lundy. Thank you for introducing us. And I know he'll listen to this episode. I also want to dedicate this episode to a dear friend of mine named Tracy. She was recently diagnosed with breast cancer for the second time. And she recently posted that she's not hiding it this time, and she's going to be a source of like strength and encouragement for other people, and going to share her journey. So I just wanted her to know that like I'm always thinking about her, and she's going to kick its ass. I have no doubt about it whatsoever. And I'm really proud of her for coming out of the shadow to like be a role model and leader for other women that are going through that kind of a stuff. And then I also had another family that was also recently diagnosed, and she's going to kick its ass too. So like, yeah, like this is like something that I'm trying to like I know that like the rubber band thing is like, kind of, everybody has, but like when I put it on, it's like, I'm putting it on for like, like, I'm putting this on because I'm going to channel something their way, whether it's energetically or so. Yeah. And then where can we find you? Like, where's all the places that we can find you on the socials or some of your projects?
At Inpyn, INPYN, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff.
And then your app?
Our app is Fuelin, FEULIN. Okay. So for athletes to help connect their training and their daily diet, fueling intake, to help manage that. It has made my job 1,000 times easier. Jumped into the digital age. I don't have to use like Google Docs. And it's really cool, like spreadsheets.
You showed it to me, and it was really simple to understand. And I was just like, "You created this?" Like, yeah, I can. Like, so it's a pretty paradigm shifting technology, which is like,
thank you,
awesome. So really appreciate you being here. This is awesome. Really appreciate you guys are producers. Got us all set up, looking great. We'll get this up on all of the channels, and
I love spending time with you.
Yeah, likewise.
And getting to.
I'm so glad our paths crossed. Yeah,
I know. Gosh darn it, Matt Lundy.
Yeah. Like, I'm gonna. Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you for sharing your time with me.
Likewise.
Just giving me this. It was fun.
Wonderful. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. However you did that. And please, the only thing that we ever ask is like, if this resonated with you, if you liked it, just tell one other person about it, and we'll see what kind of good it can bring into the world. So until next time, this is John Gus signing off. Keep smoking on that gas and encouraging others, and allowing everybody to be in their human experience. We'll see you soon.